I want to ask you two questions, and I'd like to share with you a couple of my thoughts about the answers. It is, what is the purpose of higher education? And is St Andrews, and indeed the rest of the sector, delivering on this purpose? I wasn't sure how to put this to you. I spent some time thinking about the other things that could be seen as the purpose of university education. Employability, simple love of learning, perhaps you just had a few grand kicking around, didn't know what to do with it. These are all good reasons, genuinely. But for what I'm asking, they may be slightly self-centered. Don't be offended by that. I didn't phrase the question properly the first time, because I'm not asking why you're here. I'm asking why we're here. This evening, I'd like to talk a little bit about society. Now, I'm an individualist, but without society, the individual is nothing. Without the rest of the society around them, a rugged individual is just a guy who's got himself lost. So what I'm asking tonight is, what is the purpose of higher education fundamentally? It's not an easy answer. It begs another question. What do we actually think society needs? Now, I don't want to get into a partisan divide. I think two of the fundamental things you need in society are innovation to drive it forward and democracy to keep it accountable. And I believe that fundamentally, higher education provides both these things. And I want you to look past the facts that you learn and ask what you're learning to do with them. From history to physics, education teaches us to look past the orthodoxies, to draw conclusions based on what the evidence means, not what people tell you it means. It gives you the confidence to raise that challenge in an articulate way, and in seeing that what we achieve when we can do this, it inspires us to achieve ever more. I think you see this as well when you get over the myth that creativity is confined to the arts, or logic and evidence-based thinking confined to the sciences. I'm pretty sure that E.H. Carr, considered by many to be the founder of realism in international relations, tied himself pretty closely to the evidence when he wrote What is History? And challenged an orthodoxy in historical study that had lasted since Thucydides. And that Stephen Hawking's creative faculties were working in overdrive when he challenged his own orthodoxy on black holes. Education shouldn't just teach us philosophy or biology. It should teach us to question our leaders and each other, and that's the essence of democracy. And it should teach us to see past the confines of orthodoxy, to truly innovate and maybe even lead ourselves. But is it doing it right now? Is higher education delivering? It's my belief that the answer is evermore no, and it's getting worse. In striving to make higher education suitable for the demands of the modern world, we are sacrificing its essence. It's death by 1,000 cuts, and it's us, the next generation, who are the ones that are bleeding. We're compromising our fundamental purpose. Funding is just the tip of the iceberg. It's true, there is a crisis in higher education funding, but this is not the only issue. We're not just compromising those whom we're teaching, we're in danger of compromising that which we teach. Across the country, business and industry are complaining that universities are not producing the graduates they need, and they're being heard at the very highest levels. But in seeking to satisfy those complaints, we're in danger of allowing our curriculum to be ever more defined by the demands of business. The government's white paper, putting the student at the heart of education, pushes universities to meet students' expectations and produce quantifiable results that they're doing so. Now, to a certain extent, this should be a positive thing. And the cry has certainly been taken up very enthusiastically by different student representatives. It's true, it's leverage. But what the government and university managements and even student representatives has lost sight of is that indefinable quality in education. In meeting the expectations of 100 different voices, we're losing the chance to think for ourselves. In meeting the demands of business in our curriculum, we compromise the chance to give business what it really needs, unique thinkers. If business or the public sector gets to define university education, then where will they find the people who will come up with the ideas that are different, the innovation that drives both forward? Why do you think consultancy is one of the highest paid professions in the world? It's because there is a shortage of people who can think outside the box. The market itself is showing us that it needs something different. Yes, there is a level on which universities should seek to meet our expectations. But there is also a level that we should be incredibly disappointed if that's all they do. We need the unknown, the unexpected. Higher education should not meet our expectations, it should define them. And the main criteria for a university should not be the number of computers or the opening hours for the library. It should be the inspiration of its teaching, the courage of its debate, the ideas of its students. If we continue down our current path, there is a danger that higher education will be reduced to just a service or a commodity. One of my briefing books last week included a paper which said that University of St Andrews sees it as in our interests to support the marketisation of higher education. I'm telling you tonight, it's not in our interests. It's in the interests of those people who don't want to be questioned, who don't want to see you challenge them, who don't want to see you do better than them. Innovate where they could never even conceive, inspire where they could only bully. You know who I'm talking about. It's in their interest, not in ours. So, what can we as students do? We need to take some responsibility. We need to stop saying, I'm just a student, this problem is too big for me, or it's not appropriate that I speak up. We need to make this an issue. We need to make it our issue. Academics, management, even to the government, they're all under pressure to deliver student expectations. They think that's all we want, and they've forgotten about the big things too. So we need to keep asking for the new library, for more books, for a new union, but we need to ask for the bigger things as well. We need to demand our professors and lecturers are empowered. We need to ask why the people who are trying to educate the next generation are not even valued enough to give them a decent wage or a comfortable retirement. And to that end, we need to get out on that street tomorrow and support the strike. But we need to do more than just shouting outside the windows, more than just look in on the corridors of power. We need to be part of the debate. We need the courage to find the solutions ourselves and then tell everybody about them. We must engage. During the IUK fees debate, Patrick and I wrote a paper called Fairness Not Fee Hikes. This paper was signed by sabbaticals at 10 other universities in Scotland. To my knowledge, it was the only attempt made at the time to find an alternative to a wholesale rise in IUK fees. Students did that. We came up with the idea. When management rejected it, we found a compromise. When they rejected that, we found a hole in their figures that could total up to £1 million per year, and then we persuaded them to devote it to widening access. We do have something to contribute to the issues, all of us. We need the courage to do so. We also need to see the bigger picture. Fee hikes have happened. Yes, we should still be angry, but we also need to move on. We must raise our expectations. We must demand that the university expects more of us. And that doesn't mean raising the pass mark by 2. It means pushing us to excel beyond the marking scale, to excel every day. It means pushing us to surprise them. And we need to expect more of ourselves and of each other as well. It's always appropriate to speak up. It's never a problem that's too big to talk about. No one else is going to do it for you. This needs to be our issue now. It needs to be the issue of the next union election. When you're campaigning alongside promising to deliver quicker feedback or cheaper accommodation, remember to tell people why you're doing it. But don't wait until March. Do it tomorrow. Tell your lecturer, tell the principal, tell your friends. This university does need to live up to its students' expectations, and those expectations need to be pretty damn high. Thanks.